The incredible universe, the Artemis program. The Artemis program is a NASA initiative to return humans to the moon and establish a sustainable human presence on the lunar surface by the end of the 2020s. The program is named after the Greek goddess of the moon and is part of NASA's broader vision for space exploration, which includes eventually sending humans to Mars. The Artemis program was announced in 2019 by the Trump administration as a renewed effort to explore the moon and establish a permanent presence there. NASA has set a goal of landing the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024, with the ultimate goal of establishing a sustainable human presence on the lunar surface by the end of the decade. The program includes a series of increasingly complex missions, starting with an uncrewed test flight of the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System (SLS) rocket, which will be used to transport crew and cargo to the moon. The first crewed mission, Artemis II, is expected to launch in 2023, and will take astronauts on a flyby of the moon. Artemis III, the first crewed mission to land on the moon since the Apollo missions of the 1960s and 70s, is scheduled for 2024. In addition to the human missions, the Artemis program also includes a number of scientific and technological objectives, such as mapping the lunar surface, studying the moon's resources, and developing new technologies for sustainable living and exploration in space. NASA has also announced plans to establish a Lunar Gateway, a small space station in orbit around the moon that will serve as a hub for lunar exploration and a staging point for missions to Mars. The Artemis program is a major priority for NASA and the United States government, with funding and resources being allocated to support the development of the technology and infrastructure necessary to achieve the program's goals. However, the program has also faced criticism and skepticism, with some questioning the feasibility and cost of the program, as well as the potential impact on other NASA missions and scientific priorities. Despite these challenges, the Artemis program represents an ambitious and exciting new chapter in human space exploration, with the potential to advance our understanding of the universe and our capabilities as a species. Whether or not the program ultimately succeeds in its objectives, it is sure to inspire generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers to come. Here are some additional details about the Artemis program. The program has a strong focus on sustainability and long-term exploration. Unlike the Apollo missions, which were focused on landing humans on the moon and then returning them safely to Earth, the Artemis program aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the moon. This involves developing technologies and infrastructure that will allow astronauts to live and work on the lunar surface for extended periods of time, and to use the resources available on the moon, such as water ice, to support human activities. NASA is partnering with international space agencies and private companies on the program. The Artemis program is a collaborative effort between NASA and a number of other organizations, including the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, and the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. In addition, NASA is working with private companies such as SpaceX and Blue Origin to develop new space technologies and transportation systems. The program includes a strong focus on diversity and inclusion. NASA has made a commitment to diversity and inclusion in the Artemis program, with a goal of landing the first woman and the next man on the moon. The agency is also working to ensure that the program benefits a diverse range of people and communities, including those from traditionally underrepresented groups. The Lunar Gateway will play a key role in the program. The Lunar Gateway is a small space station that will be built in orbit around the moon as part of the Artemis program. The station will serve as a staging point for human missions to the moon, as well as a platform for scientific research and technology development. The Gateway will also be used to test new technologies and systems that will be necessary for human missions to Mars. The program has faced some challenges and delays. The Artemis program has encountered a number of technical and logistical challenges since its announcement, and the COVID-19 pandemic has also impacted the program's progress. In addition, the program has faced scrutiny over its funding and priorities, with some critics questioning the feasibility and value of the program. Despite these challenges, the Artemis program remains a major priority for NASA and the U.S. government, and it has the potential to transform our understanding of the universe and our place in it. The program represents a major step forward in human space exploration, and it is likely to inspire generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers to come. The Artemis program aims to establish a sustainable presence on the moon by 2024. NASA plans to land the first woman and the next man on the lunar surface by 2024 as part of the Artemis III mission. This mission will build upon the scientific discoveries made by the earlier Apollo missions and test new technologies and capabilities needed for long-term lunar exploration. NASA plans to use the Moon as a stepping stone to Mars. The Artemis program is a critical part of NASA's broader vision for human exploration of the solar system, which includes sending humans to Mars in the 2030s. NASA plans to use the Moon as a testing ground for technologies and systems needed for human missions to Mars, and to conduct scientific research that will inform our understanding of the Red Planet. The Artemis program includes a range of scientific objectives. In addition to human exploration, the Artemis program aims to conduct a range of scientific investigations on the lunar surface. These include studying the Moon's geology, mapping its resources, and investigating the potential for using lunar resources to support human activities in space. The program also includes investigations into the effects of long-duration spaceflight on human health and behavior. The program includes a mix of government and private sector partnerships. NASA is working with a range of partners, including commercial companies and international space agencies, to develop and implement the technologies and capabilities needed for the Artemis program. These partnerships are seen as critical to the program's success, as they bring together the best expertise and resources from across the space community. The program has faced some funding and political challenges. The Artemis program has faced some political challenges, as different administrations and Congresses have had different priorities for NASA's budget and activities. Additionally, the program has required significant funding, and some critics have questioned whether the money would be better spent on other priorities, such as scientific research or environmental protection. Despite these challenges, the Artemis program remains a top priority for NASA and the U.S. government. The program represents a major step forward in human space exploration, with the potential to transform our understanding of the universe and our place in it. As the program moves forward, it is likely to inspire new generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers to continue pushing the boundaries of what is possible in space. The program will involve a range of scientific investigations. In addition to human exploration, the Artemis program will also focus on scientific investigations of the Moon. These investigations will involve studying the lunar surface, characterizing the Moon's geology, and analyzing samples of lunar regolith, soil. Scientists hope to learn more about the Moon's formation and evolution, as well as its potential as a resource for future space exploration. The program includes a range of new technologies and capabilities. To achieve its goals, the Artemis program will require a range of new technologies and capabilities, including advanced spacecraft and habitats, new spacesuits, and improved propulsion systems. NASA is also developing a new lunar lander, called the Human Landing System, which will carry astronauts from lunar orbit to the surface of the Moon. The program has a strong focus on commercial partnerships. NASA is partnering with a number of private companies to develop new technologies and capabilities for the Artemis program. These partnerships include collaborations with companies such as SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Dynetics to develop the Human Landing System, as well as partnerships with companies such as Maxar Technologies and Astrobotic to provide services such as lunar mapping and payload delivery. The program is part of a broader vision for space exploration. The Artemis program is part of NASA's broader vision for space exploration, which includes sending humans to Mars in the 2030s. The program aims to establish a sustainable and long-term presence on the Moon, which will serve as a testbed for future space exploration and a staging point for missions to Mars and beyond. The program has significant international support. The Artemis program has significant international support, with a number of countries and space agencies expressing interest in participating in the program. This includes partnerships with the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, and the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, as well as interest from other countries such as Australia, Brazil, and the United Arab Emirates. In summary, the Artemis program is an ambitious and complex initiative that aims to return humans to the Moon and establish a sustainable presence on the lunar surface. The program involves a range of scientific investigations, advanced technologies, and commercial partnerships, and is part of NASA's broader vision for space exploration. Despite facing a range of challenges and delays, the Artemis program remains a major priority for NASA and the U.S. government, and has the potential to transform our understanding of the universe and our capabilities as a species. The Artemis program aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the Moon. In order to achieve this goal, NASA is planning to develop a number of infrastructure and technological systems on the Moon, including habitats, power systems, communication networks, and resource utilization systems. One of the key elements of the Artemis program is the development of the Space Launch System, SLS, rocket and the Orion spacecraft. The SLS rocket is designed to be the most powerful rocket in history, and it will be used to launch the Orion spacecraft and other cargo to the Moon. The Orion spacecraft is a crew module that will carry astronauts to and from the Moon, and it is designed to be reusable. NASA is planning to use a combination of robots and humans to explore the Moon. In addition to the human missions to the Moon, the Artemis program also includes a number of robotic missions to explore the lunar surface and conduct scientific research. NASA is planning to use rovers and other robotic systems to map the Moon's resources and to identify potential locations for human habitats. The Artemis program is focused on developing new technologies for sustainable living and exploration in space. NASA is investing in the development of new systems and technologies that will enable long-term space exploration and sustainability, including technologies for recycling water and air, growing food in space, and producing oxygen and fuel from lunar resources. The program is being carried out in collaboration with international partners. NASA is working with a number of international space agencies on the Artemis program, including the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, and the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. The goal is to share resources and expertise to achieve common goals and to enable international cooperation in space exploration. The Artemis program has faced some funding and scheduling challenges. The program has encountered delays and budget constraints, which have slowed down progress on some of the key elements of the program. However, NASA remains committed to the program and is working to address these challenges. Overall, the Artemis program represents a major step forward in human space exploration and has the potential to transform our understanding of the universe and our place in it. The program is designed to be sustainable, collaborative, and forward-looking, and it aims to develop new technologies and systems that will enable humanity to explore and thrive in space for generations to come.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the Moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface. NASA's next chapter of lunar exploration, called Artemis, has the task of not just going to the Moon to create a long-term human presence on and around it, but also to prepare for ever more complex human missions to Mars. In short, everything we must be able to do here, we must first do here. So, what will an Artemis mission look like? Everything is designed and tested with our most important element in mind, the astronauts. This is their deep space, human-rated spacecraft called Orion, built in 3 parts. The crew module, where up to 4 astronauts will live and work throughout the flight. The service module, with life support systems for the crew and its own engine and fuel reserves. And a launch abort system, with engines capable of pulling the crew module to safety during launch should anything go wrong. To accomplish the task of launching our crew and heavy payloads, NASA is building the Space Launch System, comprising of a cargo hold, an exploration upper stage, a massive core stage, and 2 extended solid rocket boosters. Altogether, this is the world's most powerful rocket, and it exceeds the legendary Saturn V of the Apollo era in numerous ways. Sitting on the launch pad, the entire rocket, fully fueled, weighs just over 6 million pounds, 5.2 million of which is just the fuel. Once ignited, there is no stopping what comes next. All 4 RS-25 engines and the 2 solid rocket boosters come to life, thundering our crew upwards. 2 minutes after ignition, the solid rocket boosters are spent and released. 8 minutes after launch, the core stage is depleted and separated. The upper stage fires briefly, placing Orion into a parking orbit around the Earth. Here, the crew reconfigure the spacecraft and check systems to confirm everything is ready for deep space travel. With a go from mission control, the crew reignite the exploration upper stage engines to leave Earth entirely. The exact timing of this maneuver is critical to reach a speed that can escape Earth's gravitational pull, but also put Orion on a course that will intersect the Moon days later. Once this burn is complete, the upper stage of the SLS is jettisoned and the crew aboard Orion coast for several days toward all that awaits them at the Moon. Approaching the Moon, we see the fundamental differences between Artemis and Apollo. Instead of requiring Orion to serve as an expendable lunar command module or to carry a constrained lunar lander, the Artemis missions will take advantage of a different approach: pre-staging. Everything needed for lunar missions will be positioned in advance by commercial and international partners. This includes rovers, science experiments, and human-rated systems on the surface. But it also includes a dedicated lunar station in orbit around the Moon called Gateway. Here at the station, we can pre-stage a robust lunar lander and establish a strong communications relay. Designed with open standards, the Gateway can be expanded as new missions and partnerships develop, allowing multiple human missions on the Moon at the same time and enabling ongoing science to be conducted even between human missions. The Gateway is also capable of adjusting its orbit to allow access to every part of the Moon, something the Apollo missions could not do. But the real key in this approach is placing Gateway in a unique halo orbit to perfect the maneuvers needed for Mars missions. And with the growing list of commercial and international opportunities, Gateway is the ideal hub between Earth and all that lies beyond. Returning to our crew as they approach Gateway, the Orion must match the elliptical orbit of the station in order to successfully dock. Once on board, pre-selected crew members transfer to the lunar lander, while those assigned to Gateway remain on station. The lunar lander system itself is built for 3 unique steps: descending from the halo orbit of Gateway down to a low lunar orbit, descending from low lunar orbit to the surface, and once the lunar mission is complete, launching from the surface of the Moon and ascending all the way back to the orbiting Gateway. Once back aboard the Orion spacecraft and undocked from Gateway, the crew fire their engine once to break out of the halo orbit and once again to sling the spacecraft around the Moon, placing it on a multi-day trajectory back towards Earth. As they near the end of this journey, the service module is released, and the crew module is oriented heat shield first. Entering Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows Orion considerably, while also subjecting it to temperatures of 5,000 degrees. With the Orion now at just 300 miles per hour, a series of parachutes uniquely tested and produced for this moment deploy, decelerating the craft to just 20 miles per hour for splashdown. With each successful mission, Artemis ushers in the next wave of men and women to explore our Moon and prove that together we are ready to go beyond.
Thanks for watching.